What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Eric Hansen live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel, and we'll have a couple other Blue and Gold staffers join us throughout the show. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. Blueandgold.com is your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. And I'm happy that we're going to bring in Kyle Kelly later in the show to talk some Notre Dame football recruiting, considering the Penn State news. What does that mean? USC week. It's really a ton to discuss. This show is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Tailgate season is here, Notre Dame football fans, and no one's going to get you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. So swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need. And when I say everything, just about everything you can think of as a sports fan. And just someone who likes to be outdoors, this is Academy, from grills to jerseys and so much more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. 8 stores across Indiana, including one that opened up recently in Mishawaka. So fun can't lose, neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Eric, how's this Sunday treating you, my friend?
I can't lose, but James Franklin can.
Oh, man. It's usually the Reddit college football page that puts out what each AP poll voter did. I need to see if anyone put out the Penn State in their top 25. The chances are someone.
There's no way. No. They did not.
Oh, I mean, USF beat Florida, and then the Florida moved up.
Yeah.
So
no, but I mean, I've looked at also receiving votes. They're not in also receiving votes. So you don't have to look through all those. Like if you look at the regular poll, it lists everybody that got points. You know who did get some points in one poll?
Who's that?
It's called the PFF Football Writers Association Super 16 poll. UCLA got a 16th place vote in that.
Yeah, they're what now, 2-4?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, Bo ND Johnson's in the chat. Kaysen, appreciate Aussie family, appreciate you all being here today. So yeah, let's go to the AP poll. Actually, first let's go to your AP poll, which I believe I can pop up on the screen here. Might have to squint in, but yeah, you got Ohio State, Miami, A&M, Indiana, Ole Miss. That's your top 5. Right. So Notre Dame losing to number 2 and 3 in the country, and it's like, Eric, it's like, some wins don't look as good. Like Oregon's win over Penn State doesn't look very good right now, or as good. Still, it's a quality win. You win at Penn State, but it's not like, oh wow, look at this win. Now Notre Dame's 2 losses look fantastic right about now.
Right.
I mean, not fantastic. You guys get what I'm saying. In the actual AP poll, you have losses by 3 points and 1 point to 2 top 5 teams. Like those look more respectable than ever. And then let's see, you put USC at 18, Notre Dame's up there at 12. How about South Florida at 15? So yeah, tell us about your AP poll. Notre Dame's placement up to 12. So you definitely are, I hate to say this, but high on the 2 losses. It just kind of is what it is.
I am. Well, I mean, my philosophy is what you're trying to do is show people what the rankings of teams would look like if everybody played every other FBS team. What would they rank? Because you're never going to have that kind of data. And so you're trying to piece it together with commonality and so forth. Because, I mean, there are people argue that, well, all undefeated teams should be ahead of Notre Dame, including UNLV and teams like that, Navy. But they don't play the same teams. And so this, in my mind, is where Notre Dame would rank at this point, given who they lost to and if every team played everybody. Now, there's some teams ahead of them. Tennessee was something I really wrestled with. Tennessee only has 1 loss. It was to Georgia in a very close game. And they just barely beat Arkansas. Now, they were ahead, and Arkansas kind of caught up at the end and made it exciting, and it was close in the first half. But Arkansas put up 31 points on their defense. And so people would say, well, why wouldn't you put Notre Dame ahead of them? I think we can wait until after this Saturday's games. Tennessee plays Alabama, Notre Dame plays USC, and then we'll have some really good data on those two teams.
So there is the AP poll for folks watching on YouTube. Very similar to Eric's top 5: Ohio State, Miami, Indiana. Man, Indiana up to number 3, A&M, Ole Miss. Like Notre Dame at 13 in the AP poll, and they will host number 20 USC. Do you have thought? I don't know if this is something you researched or really thought about, Eric. Was like how like last weekend's results were very good for Notre Dame. Do you have strong opinions on how this weekend went from a Notre Dame standpoint? Like the USC win was obviously huge, but like I don't know about the Indiana result because I think that's two teams that are kind of likely to get in at this point.
Well, fortunately for you, Mike, I do a column called Behind the Ballot, which hasn't been posted yet, but will as soon as we get off the YouTube channel. But I wrote about that.
Okay.
That was kind of my lead.
So find it at blueandgold.com soon.
Yes. I mean, some of it is a lot of these scenarios, it's too early. You know, somebody asked us about Alabama, Missouri on the radio on Saturday, Tyler Horka and I, and it gave me a headache because it's like Alabama, Missouri, there's just too much left to play. But there are some games that it's obvious. USC beating Michigan was huge for Notre Dame. It knocked Michigan below Notre Dame in the rankings. It also improves Notre Dame's strength of schedule and gives them potentially a really good win if they're able to win on Saturday. The other thing that's kind of interesting about USC, Mike, is they're still in play to make the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
And you asked about the Indiana game, if that was significant, and it is, because Indiana and Ohio State are the only two teams in the Big Ten that don't have a loss in league play out of the 18. And they both have pretty clean paths. You know, Ohio State still has to play Michigan. Indiana has to play Penn State. But, I mean, everybody's beating Penn State now. There is pretty clean pass, but USC is one of 9 teams with 1 loss, and there's a headache of a tiebreaker. But USC could find its way if they won all the rest of their games, which would include a win over Oregon. If they do, they could make it to the Big Ten championship game. They'd need something funny to happen to either Ohio State or Indiana to make that happen.
Sure.
But they can make that. So there's some good things happening for Notre Dame. I think the Pittsburgh win over Florida State was big, because that boosts Pittsburgh in a lot of people's eyes. So those are the two that I thought stood out. And again, A&M winning another game, beating Florida decisively, a team that Texas lost to, for example. All those things start adding up. And again, Arkansas giving Tennessee a real ride on the road in Knoxville, I think, is a big positive.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, we really dove into the semantics of the whole lock discussion, and I think we all expected what has been transpiring is like this is what we thought was going to happen. Like there was going to be chaos. This is college football. Every year it just gets even crazier. So it's like, does after 2-2 or something, when we really started having these discussions, did Notre Dame control its own destiny? No. But in a way, it kind of did and kind of does now. Like you win out, it's going to happen. It just is. And I think we're seeing that. And USC beating Michigan is a huge step. Now we'll see if Notre Dame beats USC, what happens for both teams. That's like very Captain Obvious, no shit Sherlock. But the comment here, Matthew Thomas says Navy still undefeated too. That helps a little. You talked about Pitt. There's things that like the mouth breathers on Twitter aren't going to give Notre Dame credit for, and that's fine. Who cares? But you would think that the College Football Playoff Committee would.
Because they look at everything, Mike. What people on Twitter do and what people on our message board do, sometimes they want to reduce their argument to the one thing that isolates their best point. Like, how many top 25 wins do they have, or head-to-head on something? But the committee looks at everything. They don't just isolate it down to one thing. Who has the best win or who has the worst loss? I'll give you another one. Is Virginia. Virginia has one loss right now. They're not too far behind Notre Dame. You look at the rest of Virginia's schedule, they have a pretty easy ride into the ACC championship game. They don't play Georgia Tech. They don't play Clemson. They don't play Miami. They don't play SMU. They've got a glide into the championship game if they just win the games that they're supposed to win. And they'd only have one loss, and Notre Dame would have two. But here's why yesterday matters. NC State beat Virginia by a touchdown. Notre Dame beats them by 29 points. Those are things that the committee would look at.
Okay.
So even yesterday's win plays into a possible scenario if Virginia happened to be, let's say, the ACC runner-up, loses to Miami.
Bo Andy Johnson, always good to see you. And Bo is on the message board as well, and always brings a smile to my face with his comment. So thank you, Bo. $10 super chat says, thanks for the weekly roundtable. I was watching Pitt. That freshman quarterback was fire. Who was the Pitt quarterback?
I can't remember his name. I'd have to look it up, but he replaced Eli Holstein, and he is really good. He also gives them a dimension of running. Eli Holstein had a pretty good pass efficiency rating, but he got sacked a lot. And so it would put them behind the sticks a lot. This freshman is really something. And it was one of those things where people say, well, Holstein got a lot of NIL money or rev share money to come from Alabama to Pittsburgh. Wouldn't they just play the guy that's making more money? And this is an instance where that doesn't happen. There's the freshman. Yeah.
Mason Heinchtel from Clay High School in Oregon, Ohio. So there you go.
Yeah, but he is. I was talking to somebody when I was having some Notre Dame quarterback chat. They evaluate quarterbacks all over the country, and they said that freshman is really something. And Pitt has some interesting matchups against Notre Dame, especially after the Navy game. The one thing every Notre Dame opponent is bad at, every Notre Dame opponent, 90s or worse, the rest of the season, is pass efficiency defense. They are not good at defending the pass, including USC. Now, USC is good against the run, but every one of them is absolute awful against the pass, which is good for CJ Carr's chances of setting the school record in pass efficiency. But and that's why it was so important to bring him along and get him up to speed, because those teams, especially Pitt and USC, they're going to absolutely load the box and try to make CJ Carr beat him with his arm.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Home Field. What an awesome company. Highly recommend you guys go to homefieldapparel.com. Check out their Notre Dame line. And if you have friends or family that support other schools, there's a decent chance. But you might say, Mike, dude, you don't understand. I have, my wife went to Farley Dickinson, and my grandma went to Loyola Chicago, and then my brother-in-law graduated from Radford. Well, I got you. Homefieldapparel.com has you covered, because I just scrolled through random letters of the alphabet and these schools popped up. Yeah, just like UC Santa Cruz, and you have Stephen F.
The
Austin.
Banana Slugs.
I mean, Southern Indiana, Slippery Rock. No way. I mean, come on. Go to homefieldapparel.com. You guys can see it up on the top of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Get 20% off. It really is great for holiday shopping. My father-in-law is a big Wisconsin fan. Feel bad for him, but I got him a nifty little jump around shirt. Like I love Home Field. They sent me the Notre Dame football box and this heavyweight hoodie. I cannot wait to wear. When it starts getting cooler out. So highly recommend homefieldapparel.com. Been a sponsor of Blue and Gold for a few years now. So check it out. Find your favorite design and get ready to rep your Notre Dame gear in style. They built their name by making the most comfortable, officially licensed, vintage-inspired college gear out there. Hoodies, crew necks, tees, bomber jackets, hats, you name it. You get that retro look without the retro tears and smells. You know what I'm talking about. That shirt that you got in 1980, you love the design, but it's time to retire it and go to homefieldapparel.com and replace it with something that looks new. And is new and doesn't smell like that. Anyways, all right, let's go ahead and bring in Jack Sobel, blueandgold.com beat writer. Jack, man, how about Penn State? We didn't really get to talk about that too much. Anyone surprised here? Penn State firing James Franklin?
I mean, I'm surprised that it happened
that,
now.
Yeah.
Now? Is that okay?
Yeah. Was that what you're going to say, Eric?
Yeah, but I'd rather hear your opinion. I was just going to say, with the home field apparel, the schools that Mike named were the same ones that Kurt Signetti is trying to schedule for future opponents.
I mean, we can't really bash Sig right now after what happened last night.
No.
I
He
mean,
went out. That was Indiana's first win over a top 5 team since 1967. And yes, I was alive then.
There is really not much else you can say about Indiana at this point. Like there's no bum slayer discussion at all after last night. But I actually found out I was coaching this happened during my flag football game earlier today, and one of the parents on our team who knows what I do pulled me aside afterward and was like, Penn State fired him, and I'm like, seriously? I did not think it would happen today. I mean, I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that it would happen at some point, but it's a stunning fall for a team that was number 2 in the country and 3-0 and in pretty good position to beat Oregon after coming back late in that game just 15 days ago. So that's in
the Final Four last year.
Yeah, and in the Final Four last year, and brought pretty much everyone back. Had several draft picks on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's just going into the season about Penn State. What everyone said and what I said was like, if not now, then when? And pretty clearly, the answer is when. And I guess Penn State just kind of ripped off the Band-Aid before it got any worse.
Yeah, as soon as I saw this tweet around lunchtime, sources tell Pete Nakos that legitimate conversations are being held about Franklin's future. It's like, yeah, it was definitely a matter of if not, or it was going to happen today. I was like, oh, yeah, there's no way this is not right around the corner. So, yeah, I've been clowning Penn State. Horka texted me earlier, and he's like, what is your infatuation with Penn State? And I was like, there's nothing with Penn State specifically. The fan bases and just interactions you have with Penn State and Michigan people. I actually love the Penn State writers we have at Blue White Illustrated on 3. They're great. Some of my good friends, but just the fan base has just been kind of miserable to interact with Penn State fans. So it's fun times over here, and we're going to get Landon Tangwall back on the show this week. And that was planned even before Franklin got fired. So we're going to be live with him on Wednesday. So any you guys have any other thoughts on Penn State before we move on?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting and I think you tweeted about this, Mike, what happens to their recruits.
Yeah. Looking forward to we'll talk about that with Kyle in just a little bit. But Notre Dame did play a football game. We haven't really discussed that much. Irish beating NC State 36-7. I mean, does anyone else disagree with this? It just felt like the Boise game 2.0. You didn't have the misfire to Will Pauling. That to me was the biggest difference in these two games. It was very similar. Anyone disagree?
It was similar, but I thought the defense was better against NC State. I thought this defensive performance felt as real as any has for Notre Dame this season. And like, I know they don't want to talk about last year, but they looked like last year. Like they're attacking by committee up front. They're covering really well. I mean, when's the last time we've said Christian Gray's name as in terms of getting beaten coverage? Like, it's been a few weeks at this point. He's been great. I think they threw at Leonard Moore once on like a 5-yard hitch. Like, Dedon Schuler was great. The secondary was great. Linebackers were great. D-line was everything was just working in perfect harmony defensively. And I feel as confident now as I have since the defense turned sour earlier in the season. Like I feel as confident now as I have since then that they really have it figured out.
Which is perfect timing given who's coming to town and how good they are on offense. But I agree with you, Jack. The run defense, who would have thought that we would say this at all in 2025, let alone at the halfway point? But Notre Dame has a top 25 run defense right now. And that's a day after facing the number 6 running back in the country in Hollywood Smothers. who had a
Yeah.
season low 46 yards.
Speaking of Smothers, someone on the defense who I want to shout out specifically, who probably won't get the accolades that they deserve after this game, but in both run defense and coverage covering Smothers, because this guy drew Smothers' assignment a ton, was Drake Bowen. He was phenomenal when he had to cover Smothers. I can think of 3 separate times. One was the throw to the flat where Bowen navigated traffic and stopped him for like a gain of 2. One was the deep ball that Bowen had very good coverage on, and like it could have been completed, but it would have taken like the throw of the year from CJ Bailey. And there was a third down when Smothers caught the ball and Bowen just blasted him as soon as he got it. Like I tweeted at the time, if you're going to catch the ball in front of Drake Bowen, I would recommend great health insurance because he's going to light you up. Like all 3 of those plays were on Smothers, and it just speaks to the job he did with that assignment.
Yeah, I caught some flack from angry Notre Dame fans last night when I tweeted, like, at what point for the fire Chris Ash crowd are we like, that maybe that was not the right call, right? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. No, like maybe firing Chris Ash after 2 games, his first 2 games, would have been a bad idea. Because I feel like if you do that, you're basically throwing in the towel. And you're like, all right, this is a complete disaster, and we can't turn this around. And it sends a terrible message to your team about what you have. And a lot of people are like, let me wait till USC. Listen, USC, it doesn't like I think their offense is good enough. Like they're going to put up points against Notre Dame. They just are. It doesn't matter who your defense coordinator is. Like people are like, oh, let me wait till the USC game. That I don't think that has anything to do with firing Chris Ash after 2 games. Like, I think we now know he can coach football. With Jack Sobel talking about this looks like 23 and 24 Notre Dame defense, I think it was the right decision. Do we all remember last year when Notre Dame played at USC? Oh, yeah. That Al Golden defense held USC to 3 points. That's true. No, they still put up 30 plus. It shit happens. It's football. So I guess we can. This was a boring game to me. This again to me it was mostly Boise State 2.0. I don't really want to talk about this football game. I want to look at the USC. Like there is not a ton to talk about, but that's me on my soapbox. Like Ash's.
What happened to you? You got mad all of a sudden.
I would caution you, Mike, against taking the opinions of angry fans after an 0-2 start seriously.
She's a good defensive coordinator.
I know he's done very well, and I credit to him. Like Marcus Freeman said after the game, of like he, as much as anyone, got it together and worked together to fix things. Because like I think Mike, what you're doing right now is a little bit discounting the concerns that people had, because like after the Purdue game, I don't think anyone was wrong for like obviously no one they weren't actually going to fire him, but like no one was wrong for having serious concerns about that. But
I had serious concern. I did think they were going to get together, but there's a difference between concerns and I want to fire him. And I'm going to die on the hill of firing him.
I hear you, and I'm saying that you're taking the opinions of angry fans who were saying fire after 3 games too seriously.
I'm just calling out dumb people. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
Mike, fans are gonna say fire the coach who's not doing well. That's
and Mike Singer's gonna call him out. This is the circle of life.
People were saying fire Denbrock after the first game. It's not. It's on us to sift through what is a serious opinion and what is just an.
It's not on you. It's not on you, Jack, but it is on me. It is on me because I hate my life. Apparently, that's what it is.
I'll tell you what. I am so happy after 40-some years in the business, I finally understand the circle of life.
If you do want entertainment, you go to find my tweet about this yesterday, and it really was hysterical. I was crying. It was like, yeah, when you have like 100 likes and like 96 responses, it's like, yeah, this is a tweet that has fired some people up, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
But like,
let me tell you what I do really like about where this team is now, and I'll say this going into the USC game, so I risk us playing the tape back. But here's what I really like what Adon Schuler said last night. I think that meeting after the Purdue game was huge. And for Marcus to call it uncomfortable was a huge understatement. But it got a lot done. To call it productive is a huge understatement. If you look at their numbers, and I've got them in my behind the ballot, how much they've improved 70 spots in 3 defensive categories, 70 spots or more. But the thing that I really thought was interesting last night, I asked Adon, I said, did the players have parallel meetings that were uncomfortable? And he goes, not only do they have them, they still have them because they're not satisfied with what they've done since Purdue. They feel like there's more out there for them, and they're going to continue to have uncomfortable meetings. And I like that attitude.
And I think something else that Schuler said that really caught my ear, and Boubacar kind of said this too. Boubacar doesn't say a whole lot, but he kind of said this as well. Schuler said there was a lot of not togetherness through the first 3 games, and there is now. And I think that's a huge thing in that they always had good players. Like, it's not like the players suddenly became bad in the first 3 games.
Yep.
They weren't playing 11 as one. And they are now, and that's the biggest difference. And it's just like we said, it starts at the top after Purdue. It starts at the top right now, and it is a massive credit to Chris Ash that they've been able to not just fix things, but like play really good football in the span of 3 weeks.
2 quick thoughts, ad read, and then we're going to bring in Kyle Kelly. I love that point because that's what I was thinking. And I said, I feel like on this very show after Purdue, it's like if you go through the defensive position groups and just think about the players, like there's too many good players, and you have a defensive head coach, and Chris Ash has been around long enough and is a veteran coach that they're not going to figure this out. Like, there's just no way they're not going to figure it out. And I think that's what we have seen. Second point, I don't like the revisionist history looking at, oh man, Notre Dame didn't beat anyone. Talk to me after USC. Or Notre Dame, like thinking about the defense specifically, that Notre Dame didn't play anyone.
Arkansas is the number 6 offense in the country.
I mean, Boise State and NC State have good quarterbacks, and not great quarterbacks per se, but like they can move the ball.
Hollywood smothers. I mean, Notre Dame smothered them. Arkansas has scored 30+ points in every game this year except for one. I'll let you guess which one it wasn't. It's on the screen. Scored 13 against Notre Dame. Like, yeah, I don't like that. It's like if you go and look at even our blue and gold staff, all of our score predictions, like the Notre Dame defense is continually proving us wrong. I do score predictions too. I don't write them, but I do them, and they're doing better than we all expect every single week. And it's like, well, they just played a bad offense. That's not really how it's working. That's not reality. They're playing better than we all expect because they're improving. So yeah, they're figuring things out. Anyways, all right, I'm gonna try not to rant anymore. It gets me into too much trouble. But
it's funny though.
It is very funny,
Eric. I love your sense of humor. So if you're laughing, then I know I did well. All right,
the circle of life. The
circle of life. Folks, we use BetMGM for our lines here at Blue and Gold when we do our Friday video with Tyler James. We'll look at, the anytime touchdown score odds, the over-unders, the money lines, all that stuff. You're using BetMGM. We have special offers for our Blue and Gold YouTube audience and podcast audience. And when you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code ON3, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the app, sign up using bonus code ON3, deposit at least $10, and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. If your bet loses, just make sure you use that bonus code ON3 when you sign up. So make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. Go to BetMGM for more information. So, all right, that's BetMGM, and let's bring in Kyle Kelly. Kyle, I have a question for you. And also in that tweet, a lot of people responded saying, well, the defense has just gotten so much better. Marcus Freeman must be taking over as defensive coordinator, and he's calling the plays. I'm like, that's something that's got to be very easy to figure out. You just would look at the sidelines. Is Marcus Freeman calling plays or is he not? Kyle, is that something you have observed because you're on the sideline for these games? Is Chris Ash running the defense or is it Marcus Freeman?
I think Marcus Freeman is more concerned about the officials than he is the defensive play sheet during these last 2 games, based off my observations on the sidelines. So, to my knowledge, Marcus Freeman is still the CEO of this football program. He does not have the defensive call sheet. Just so happens
he's got it memorized. Dan, yeah. I gotta stop. Sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, yeah.
Kyle, I really wanted you to say yes just to see my reaction.
Yeah.
Muting myself.
Chris Ash is calling the defense, and he's improved much drastically since I was last on this roundtable back after the Purdue game. I remember asking Eric and Jack, I don't know what the answers are. Well, it turns out they're playing faster, and they're playing together, and they're playing better. So whatever's happened behind the scenes over the last couple of weeks has definitely worked, and now we're starting to see some of the dividends.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. This is the Blue and Gold Staff Roundtable, where we bring in 4 of us to talk some Notre Dame football. By the way, speaking of Mike Singer tweets, I do want to pop this up on the screen. This is our live show schedule for this week. Obviously, this show. Monday, I didn't put it in the tweet, but I put it on a YouTube posting on the message board. Football Never Sleeps with Eric Hansen and Tyler James. The link to their YouTube channel is in the description of this video. So Football Never Sleeps is their show, just covering everything Notre Dame football. It's at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Tuesday, the 6-pack with myself, Tyler Horka, and Jack Sobel, 4 p.m. So we moved it up a day and moved it up an hour. That's my bad. I got a concert to go to on Tuesday that Eric's going to go to with. He's going to go with me, he told me. And then we're going to do our Notre Dame football show. We're revamping it. It's usually going to be Tuesday at 8 p.m., but we're doing it Wednesday this week because of said concerts. Thursday, recruiting show, 10 a.m. Eastern. I had to move that one as well. We're taking my daughter to Disney. She's going to have she turns 1 year old on Friday, so we're taking her to Disney. So we're leaving on Thursday. So we had to move up the recruiting show. And then, of course, Saturday we will go live after the Notre Dame USC game. Kyle, any other field level observations, from the Notre Dame NC State game? Anything that only you would be able to kind of catch if you're on the field watching?
Perhaps. I'll run through. I think I have 5 of them and just want to get
Nice.
Eric and Jack's thoughts. First thing is, I'm going to go just run through them and then, whoever wants to comment can. But first thing that I've noticed as we've gone on week to week is I covered CJ Carr a lot during high school. I probably was at a handful of his games, handful of different camps. So I feel like I know CJ pretty well, and it's just become increasingly clear each week his command and confidence of the offense is growing. We've seen it, whether it be different signals to the wide receivers that have resulted in big gains. His changes of the protections. There's just so much things that he does. For a quarterback that's only started 5 or 6 games now, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, the way he operates that offense is much like an upperclassman, and I think Notre Dame is really reaping the benefits of that on offense. A lot of my other observations come from the defense because I felt like over the first 2 games, watching those guys on the field, they weren't really playing as fast as they did under Al Golden. I feel like some of that is because Al Golden was a defensive coordinator for 3 years. A lot of those guys were more familiar with that playbook. Obviously, there was some disconnect early on with the playbook with Notre Dame, that Notre Dame defense, but I feel like they're playing much faster now. That's evident on the field. The secondary has been more in sync. The whole defense altogether, I feel like, has been playing much better as one unit. Once again, we've seen the results of that. One player that really stood out to me yesterday was, I know that Boubacar Traore got a lot of the headlines, but Junior Tui Halamaka, the senior defensive end for the Irish, I thought had an outstanding game. I went to PFF to check out his grades and see if PFF backed it up. Well, it turns out it was the second highest overall game graded, or second highest graded overall game as a Notre Dame defender. He had 2 pressures in his highest game against Miami, Ohio, which is a couple of games or last season. He had 2 pressures. Last night he had 3 pressures. Still received a tick lower of a grade than that one against Miami, Ohio last season. I thought Tui Halamaka was flying on all cylinders. I think Tyler James commented on his play on our message board. I think it was Tyler James. Hopefully I'm crediting him correctly. But I thought Junior had a heck of a game. And I'll tell you what, that defensive line, I'm told, was very motivated by some comments made by CJ Bailey, NC State's quarterback, earlier in the week. So they came ready to play on Saturday. 2 more quick thoughts. Another guy I felt like really stepped up well was KK Smith. I know that was well covered at Blue and Gold. He came in for Micah Gilbert. Another guy that just really confident in the offense and in the playbook. Didn't not a guy that we've seen a whole lot. He isn't really in the wide receiver rotation, but he acted like he was on Saturday. Knew the playbook really well. Was always in the right spots and came up with a lot of big catches. And I think that's a big confidence boost for KK Smith. And finally, another guy that I just think is getting better each and every week. And this stems from a conversation on the Loose Emoji message board about who we kind of feel like has taken the biggest leap from the start of the season until now. I don't know if there's a player on the roster besides maybe CJ Carr that has made as big of a leap as what Kingston Villiamalasa has at linebacker. Each week he is just becoming more and more ferocious on that defense. I mean, he had an interception on Saturday against NC State. Constant playmaker. He's turned into a guy that you can't afford to take off the field. You got to remember, this guy's only a true sophomore, and I think there's some buzz about him potentially being one of the best linebackers in his draft class whenever he comes out. So that's a good sign for Notre Dame. I know that's a lengthy and winded 5 thoughts, but those were some of the things that when I reflected back on Saturday, watching that game from the sideline, that really stuck out to me.
Anybody?
To your Tui Halamaka comment, I thought the reaction from Al Washington after he kind of sniffed out that trick play, and then the next play when he pressured CJ Bailey, I thought that was really telling. Like, that was as fired up as I've seen Washington this season. Like, they love Tui Halamaka over there, and he's given them some great reps on the edge. Like, when you have a guy who's playing the way Boubacar Traore is playing, like, that's a great start. And then you got depth in guys like Tui Halamaka, and Burnham hasn't been playing as much, but then Botello, Bryce Young has been rushing the passer better. Like, they just have a lot of options. It's led by Traore, but they got a ton of options.
All right. Please, I need to move on to USC talk. I think the line opened up at what, 7.5, 8.5? Anyone have that pulled up?
8.5, I think.
I don't know what our sponsored people. I saw 9.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll look this up on BetMGM.
Yeah. Jack, I remember on our 6-pack show, you were thinking like that the USC Michigan game you didn't think it was going to have an impact on what that line would be. You thought that Notre Dame would be like a 10-point favorite. I thought that was maybe a little bold. I was thinking 7.5. Especially, they played well against Michigan. I watched most of that game. And I'm going to be honest with you. I do think that Notre Dame wins. Right now, my pick, early week picks, 34-27. I think that USC will score some points. But I think that, Notre Dame is going to be like against Boise and against NC State. That Notre Dame offense was not great in the first half of either game. I think they're going to come out swinging. I think that atmosphere is going to be incredible. And I think Notre Dame's going to win, and it'll be something like 34-20, and USC will score a late touchdown to make it look closer. That's kind of my thought on that. What did you find the line, Jack?
Yeah, it's 7.5. I will say, and I'll give it to Eric because I don't think we've heard from him in a while. But what I said about, like, I can't speak for the betting lines, but I don't think the the Michigan result affects what I think about this game,
Okay.
because USC over the past 2 years has been a wildly different team on the at home and on the road.
Eric, what do you think about that matchup early this week?
Yeah, I agree with what Jack said about where it is played is a big deal, because USC in its last 12 trips into the Central and Eastern time zone is 1-11. And the one win was against Purdue earlier this year. And some of those, they were big favorites in those games when they came. And a lot of those losses are to Notre Dame, but I do think where it's played matters. And how many times they're coming to these time zones matters too. I don't think they like that as part of their membership in the Big Ten. But I thought USC was impressive. I mean, Michigan is the best defense that they played this year. They're 35th in total defense. The second best defense they will have played this year is Notre Dame's, which is stunning that we can say that, given where Notre Dame was 3 weeks ago. They were 117th. And they've improved that much. But I thought USC would win that game. I just think they have too much. They're really a more complete team than we're used to seeing. They have a running game. They're 16th in the country in rushing offense. They're 2 in passing offense. They're in single digits in almost every offensive category. Defensively, they're really good. Run defense, and they're very good at getting after quarterbacks. They're one of the best sacking teams in the country, which is when you were talking about when you two were talking about earlier, CJ Carr's, and Kyle even mentioned this, command at the line of scrimmage. It's huge in this game. Him sliding protections against that front is going to be really key in how this game's unfold, because if he has the protection, USC can't cover people.
I think you mentioned the run game, Eric, and I watched the USC Michigan highlights this morning, and that really impressed me. They were down to their third running back, who I think is a walk-on. I guess I read apparently.
Freshman walk-on.
Yeah, redshirt freshman walk-on, I think. And the holes they were opening, like some of their gap schemes, the counters they were running, where they get their offensive linemen out in space and they're kicking people out. Like Michigan couldn't deal with that. That was awfully impressive. And of course, Mekhi Lemon, and Jaden Mayava, the quarterback, Mekhi Lemon, who I need to check after the Michigan game, but before that played about 2/3 of his snaps in the slot, which makes Devontae Smith's availability for this game extremely paramount, because you can put Leonard Moore on him a good amount. You can move Leonard Moore down to the slot if you're playing man, but if you're playing zone, you need the nickel to do their job.
Kyle has a big job on Monday, because that availability report, both with Devontae Smith and Ashton Craig on offense. So Kyle, get your fingers warmed up. It's
Boy, they are they're warm after everything we've had to cover today from recruiting. And I mean, we're going to have another massive recruiting weekend at Notre Dame, which is obviously my primary responsibility at Blue and Gold. I know we'll talk about it throughout the week, but in terms of the USC game, I mean, it's obviously a good thing that Notre Dame has won these last 4 games or whatever it is. But how big of a deal is it now that the defense is finally playing well at the right time? Imagine if this USC game was after Purdue. I feel like I would have a lot more concerns. The fact that they've stacked 2 impressive performances back-to-back, 3 of them. But was yesterday a 1-score game? I can't even remember. I'm blanking on the score now. Or did NC State score late?
It's 36-7.
Okay, so back-to-back, or sorry, they allowed. They only allowed 1 score.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal, and both of those performances came at home. So it's coming at the right time for Notre Dame, because this is probably, I mean, it's going to be the best offense they probably see moving forward. I know Navy is always going to be a challenge, but in terms of your just standard offenses, USC is going to be probably one of the best.
Eric, you had USC, like I said earlier, was it number 18?
Mm-hmm.
What was your thought on putting them where you put them? Like, let me just pull back up. I think you had them right under Missouri.
Real quick, as you're doing that, When you guys were talking about the running back for USC, what was his name?
King something. The broadcast talked about that a lot.
Yeah, something King.
I'm just trying to figure out who that running back was that was running like 4.4s through the middle of the defense. It might have been him. I'm not familiar with USC's depth chart, but anyway.
They had a sophomore that was way in the top 10 in rushing coming into the game and got hurt.
So their primary guy is Wayman Jordan, who I think was the #1 JUCO player in the country before he went to USC this year. The walk-on is King Miller.
Is he the one that has a twin on the roster? I heard that on the broadcast.
Beats me.
Yeah, I know I'm hitting you guys with some hard-hitting questions, but all I know is that USC's runs game really impressive against
forget the running backs.
The only twins I know are 3 months old that are related to me.
Yeah, Wayman Dorman out, expected to be per Matt Zenitz at 24/7 CBS that he's going to be out for at least a couple games. So, yeah, per that report, you would think that he's going to be out. So that's unfortunate for him, but good news if you're a Notre Dame fan. But yeah, going back to your AP ballots, Eric. Yeah, you had USC at 18. What your thoughts about where you put them?
Yeah, I think that their offense is just so overwhelming, and they have a lot of good defensive elements to go with it. They do not have a good pass defense, but they have a very good pass rush. They have a very good run defense. They're typical USC in that they are one of the most penalized teams in the country, so they're kind of their own worst enemy. But I think they can outscore most people, and I think the Michigan win was significant for them. It takes some sting out of that Illinois loss that they had at the end of that game. So yeah, I think that they're a legit team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Oregon later in the season, if they stay healthy, because I think their offense is that good.
How are you guys feeling about this? Like, any early indication on what your prediction? I guess you guys already had to do it for the magazine, your score prediction, but I'll start with Jack. Like, how are you feeling about the matchups between Notre Dame and USC? Obviously, some we'll dive into more and more throughout the week, but on our website, blueandgold.com, and this YouTube channel. But Jack, how are you feeling about the matchup right now?
I mean, I'm picking Notre Dame to win, but what fascinates me the most, because I think Notre Dame can defend the run as well as anyone right now with the way the front is playing. I'm not as concerned about that. The matchup that really concerns me is Mekhi Lemon. For those unfamiliar, he's played as well as any receiver in the country right now. He is second in all of college football in receiving yards, first in the Power 4. The #1 is some guy from San Diego State who they just spammed the entire season. But he's up to 640 something. He had another 990 something against Michigan. He had 150 something against Illinois with two touchdowns. He scored again against Michigan. I think he's 5'11", very shifty. The comp that a lot of people have made for him since he wears a USU uniform is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's the kind of receiver you honestly see a lot dominating the NFL, like the between 5'11" and 6'1" inside outside guy who's not his track speed probably isn't the fastest, but man, the body control, the late hands you see, the way he plays bigger than he is on some of the goal line stuff that they put him on. He's just such a tough cover that if you're putting Dallas Golden on him, you're just setting yourself up to fail. That's nothing against Dallas Golden. He's a true freshman, and Mekhi Lemon is as advanced as a receiver in terms of the art of playing the position as there is in college football. So you need to either get Devontae Smith back, which would be ideal. You're going to need to put Leonard Moore on him wherever he goes if Smith can't play, or you need to play just a ton of zone. And I wouldn't want to do that if I were Notre Dame, given how much man they're playing right now. So if there has ever been a game to put Leonard Moore on the opponent's best receiver the entire time, it's this one. And that's not to say they don't have anyone else who can beat you. Jacoby Lane, their outside guy, is 6'4" with Inspector Gadget arms. That obviously you'd love to have someone as big and long as Moore on, but you can't leave a true freshman on Mekhi Lemon. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Go to Kyle.
Well, we're forgetting that Kennedy Urlacher is making his return to Notre Dame. I'm kidding. Kennedy actually played decent the first couple weeks for USC during some late game action, I think. But really only a special teams guy since then. Of course, one that Mike and I are very aware of is Chad Bowden coming back to Notre Dame as a former director of recruiting and GM. So some of the off the field storylines there. Obviously, there's a bunch of on-field storylines as well. But how about the fact that it's going to be the last time we see Notre Dame and USC in South Bend in the near future? If there's not an agreement made between those two institutions on how to continue this series. I know Marcus is going to get asked about it a bunch this week. I'm sure Lincoln Riley as well. So this is one that I expect Marcus Freeman to have the guys really prepared for. There's been these certain games during the Marcus Freeman era where they really come out and hit their opponent in the mouth. And I think that's going to be one of those games. This is probably as personal of a game as you're going to get for Notre Dame, considering all the storylines behind it. So it's also a must-win, obviously, because if Notre Dame loses this one, they're out. And, this would give Notre Dame a ranked win. I don't know exactly how you value ranked wins. I know there's the circumstance of, if a school beats a team when the team is ranked, could be considered a rank win, or if they're ranked after the fact. I don't know, Eric, if you have any clarification on that or if that makes sense at all. But, yeah, big opportunity for Notre Dame on Saturday, and I expect them to be prepared for
it. If you want me to answer that question, the way you do it historically, if you're saying Marcus Freeman has X amount of ranked wins, it's at the time of the game. But if you're the college football playoff committee, you don't care what a team was ranked when they played. You care what a team is at the end of the season when you're evaluating the teams.
Especially for them that they're not using AP poll criteria. They're using their own, and they obviously don't start their polling until November 4th. Sure.
Yeah, is the first one.
So how you feeling about this, Eric? What was your score prediction for the magazine?
Well, again, this was before Notre Dame held NC State to 7. I had Notre Dame winning 38-30. I'm not sure that I would have. Tyler James kind of gives us a chance to adjust that down on Thursday or Friday since we have to pick a week in advance. I'm not sure that I'm going to move mine too much or at all. I might just leave it there. But I think holding USC to 30 points is actually an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Notre Dame will score because of their passing offense. And Elijah Hughes, I think, is way more impactful than Kennedy Urlacher is, the transfer from USC.
That's true.
I forgot about that.
Let's have one more topic before I kick Eric and Jack out, and Kyle and I just talk about recruiting for a little bit. Is the short yardage thing continuing to be a problem? It's just been. Has there been a game this season where Notre Dame's just really killing it with short yard situations, like 3rd and goal, 4th, or 3rd and 1, or 4th and goal from the 2, or whatever it is. Hey, Notre Dame should just line up to punt every time and then have Tyler Buckner do something. Maybe that's the solution. Jack, what are your thoughts about this? I don't really even know what to say at this point with this situation.
I have a few thoughts. Number one, I saw someone suggest Jabron Payne get some short yardage carries. I don't think this has anything to do with the running backs whatsoever, with one exception in that Jadarian Price fumbled at the goal line for the second time this season with abhorrent ball security. That can't continue. But other than that, they're not blocking well enough to convert short yards consistently, and I don't blame Mike Denbrock a ton. The only one I would put on the coaching staff was I want to go through the two 4th downs real quick. The first one is, sorry, I'm all over the place with this answer a little bit, but there's a direction here. The first one was the one they're trying to get to Pauling in the rollout. That was a play that Notre Dame had run at least 3 times that I can remember in similar situations. It was and all 3 successfully. It was to Pauling 4th down against Arkansas, to Greathouse on 3rd down against Arkansas, and to Pauling for a 2-point conversion against Boise State. That exact same sprint out play. NC State saw that on film as soon as Will Pauling motioned to the right. That they, and frankly I knew what Notre Dame was going to run there. They dropped the defensive end back. They just outguessed Notre Dame, and CJ Carr had nothing. The second one I do actually put on the coaching staff because that was a play where they should have used a timeout because they drew up a play specifically designed for Malachi Fields. He was the only receiver on that route. And you could see before the snap, Tyler Horka and I both pointed this out, that NC State was bracketing Malachi Fields. And you could tell that when they put him in motion and two guys moved with him. That's bracket coverage, and that play was dead before it started. So NC State had a couple of good calls on for them. That was good on their part, but the crux of the issue is that Notre Dame can't block well enough in short yardage to gain a yard. And until that is fixed, everything else they're just going to have to get gimmicky.
Eric?
I want to sit next to Tyler Horka and Jack Sobel on these plays because Tyler James and Andrew Mentok are not giving me this kind of information before the snap. I agree. I mean, especially on fourth down, I think they're going to have to kick field goals, especially if Burnett can do it now, which he did sometimes. And going from a one-score game to a two-score game is a big deal sometimes because it makes the opposition offense feel a little bit panicky that they have to play catch up. If it's just a one-score game, they're pretty calm. And I think they're going to have to do that sometimes until they get this solved. They are 119th in the country in fourth down conversions, and that's with the Tyler Buckner added in their favor. They were 8th last year in fourth down conversions.
4th and 3, I agree with you, Eric. They should have kicked because that's tough with the way they're playing short yardage. 4th and inches in the red zone, you have to just find a way to get to gain a yard.
I agree, but there's times like in the Boise game, it was 4th and 8. It was the one where CJ overshot. I want to say Pauling in the end zone. Well, that should have been a 45-yard field goal.
Well, that was a game where Burnett.
Right. I'm just saying, but if Burnett's not going to be there, you can't say, well, Burnett, you better have a plan B. You went out and recruited a high school kicker. You have a guy, Diomede, on the roster. You have to find your plan B and have confidence in them, I think, at this point. Schmidt can make 55-yard field goals. I just don't know how many of them he can make out of 10, but he has the leg for it, and you have to get him comfortable and ready to do that. If Burnett's going to be in and out the rest of the season, maybe he's back for good now. I don't know, but that can't be your default the rest of the season, not when you're going to play close games in the playoff.
Agreed.
Okay. Eric, I will see you on YouTube tomorrow for Football Never Sleeps, and Jack will do a post Marcus Freeman press conference video with Tyler Horka. So yeah, busy week here on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel, on the Eric Hansen and Tyler James YouTube channel. When I was filming a video the other day with Tyler James, I said you can find, I don't know, I said something about your guys' YouTube channel, and I said Tyler Hansen and Eric James, and I was like, you know what, it kind of works, and maybe in a different life, who knows. But Tyler really laughed at that, and we had to take a break for a couple minutes because he kept laughing. But that is going to do it for these two jokers. Eric and Jack, really appreciate you guys for hopping on today.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Thanks.
All right. Someone was asking earlier about, hey, we got to talk about what this means from a recruiting standpoint with James Franklin being fired. So I think Penn State's got 6 or 7 decommitments today, Kyle. And this is the big one from a Notre Dame standpoint. 5-star running back, come on, spell decommitting from the Penn State Nittany Lions. What a photo there. Kyle, maybe you need to work on your, shadows a little bit. You got to have the sun directly in the kid's face, but it's okay. Still a good picture, Mr. Kelly. But this was not a surprise when Franklin gets fired, right?
No, I had heard that this one was happening behind the scenes over the last couple of weeks, and his comments to other reporters were, making that more clear. So that's why, to be transparent, as soon as James Franklin got fired, that's why I started my Kumon Spell decommitment story, because I had a hunch that this was going to come pretty quickly.
Yeah, and this is a flip that could have happened for Notre Dame, even if Franklin didn't get fired. Like just his connections with running back coach Jaywan Sider, of course, got him committed at Penn State, and now he's at Notre Dame. And I also tweeted today that man, Sider left Penn State at a great time. I mean,
Almost
you
like
had
you knew.
Singleton and Allen there, and they had a really good season as a two-headed monster in the Penn State backfield last year. But he leaves when Penn State seemingly has this they're like a top 5 team across the board, top 3 maybe preseason, and he leaves for Notre Dame, and look what he has, maybe the 2 best, not 2 of the best, or the top running back duo in the country. No, like you can make a real argument that Jeremiah Love and JD Price are the 2 best running backs in college football. And Penn State's a dumpster fire now, and Notre Dame is looking like they're very likely at this point, I might even say, to make the college football playoff. So, but from how this impact, how does James Franklin getting fired impact Notre Dame? It feels like the spell thing is the biggest. Maybe Khalil Taylor's he's the 2027 wide receiver who decommitted a few days ago, actually. But other than those 2, like the 26 class, I scrolled through their commit list. Kyle, maybe you have a differing opinion. I don't feel like there's anyone in 26 that Notre Dame's going to now go after on the Penn State commit list or decommit list. It's more like 27, and then what it means for the future. Like whenever there's a coaching change against or for a Notre Dame recruiting rival, it can be good, but it can be bad. It really just depends on who they hire. So yeah, who knows? Spell could love the next coach, and he's going to start considering Penn State a ton more again. It really can depend. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of value in going after some of the guys on the Penn State commit list, only because your commit list, talking about Notre Dame, is so strong. Is it worth kind of ruffling the feathers in that class for, some guys? I mean, maybe, ironically, Notre Dame's got 6 offensive linemen in the class, but then Penn State's got probably one of the best offensive linemen committed in the country, and Kevin Brown, who I know Notre Dame recruited pretty heavily early on. So that was a guy who's you take no matter what. But besides that, we've talked before on our recruiting shows about Jaywan Sider's relationship with Messiah Mickens, the 4-star running back in the 26 class. Is it really worth, chasing down Messiah Mickens to try to change his decision when you have the best running back duo between Javian Osborne and Jonas Walton in the 26 cycle? I don't think so. But yeah, this is Notre Dame's got a chance to capitalize, man. If there's one thing that James Franklin has done well, I'll give him credit for this, is he recruited the Northeast exceptionally well. All those top prospects out there were either considering or signing with Notre Dame or with Penn State.
Yeah.
And that is an area that Notre Dame has not been able to capitalize on or find inroads in years. The DeMathas of the world, the St. John's in Washington, D.C., the Gilman School. There's the other school out there in Baltimore.
There's Gonzaga. I mean, the Notre Dame. I mean, Brian Kelly didn't help when he didn't go to DeMatha in a decade or whatever it was. But and then they're even starting to change that narrative. Of course, with Joey O'Brien and Corey Adams. But yeah, This will definitely help them. But again, unless they hire some ace Northeast recruiter as their head coach, and we'll see. But in the short term, and I mean, Notre Dame's got Penn State's number right now. So after that,
let's be honest. It was maybe a fireable offense to have for Penn State to have as early of a official visit recruiting weekend as they did back in May. That's when they had all their top recruits on campus, and that was in mid-May. That's when Joey O'Brien visited. That's when Corey Adams visited. Those 2 were arguably the 2 top targets on their board in the 26 cycle. And, guys like O'Brien and Corey Adams, they wanted to see other schools. Those guys wanted to get back to Notre Dame. If I'm Penn State, I'm doing all I can to get that last visit. We found out how important that was in Joey O'Brien's recruitment. So even though that Penn State has done some things well on the recruiting trail, I feel like they probably look back on some of the decisions they made in the 26 cycle and maybe feel they could have done things better. But yeah, I mean, does it make this recruiting weekend for Notre Dame even bigger? I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I felt going into it that, Keemon Spell, who was previously committed to Penn State, Notre Dame had a good shot to flip him. But I almost feel like in a way that maybe his Penn State decommitment makes it tougher on Notre Dame, because I feel like Notre Dame Keemon was keeping the door open with a lot of schools, but the thing that was really unique with Notre Dame, obviously, was his relationship with Ja'Juan Seider, Notre Dame's running backs coach.
Right.
Spell committed to him at Penn State. Well, now that he's truly opened up, Hayes Fawcett noted the 10 or so schools that are really involved. Notre Dame still has the edge that they've had the relationships longer than anyone probably. But I feel like this is going to become a more competitive recruiting battle that's probably going to stretch on for, several months rather than maybe an immediate decision.
Yeah, and of course, Spell, the class of 2027 5-star running back, visiting Notre Dame this weekend for what is going to be simply a monumental recruiting weekend for the Irish. High majority of your 2026 classes will be there, all those committed guys. Dozens of targets in the 27 class. It's simply going to be loaded, and we'll have you covered at Blue and Gold with all of the recruiting preview content. Here's the update. We talked about this a little bit ago. Waymond Jordan, USC running back, missing the next 4 to 6 weeks, according to On3's Pete Nakos. So the Trojans will be without their top back in South Bend. So that just gives Notre Dame kind of another boost. Again, you hate it for the kid. You hate to see injuries, but can't hurt Notre Dame. That their back is out. I guess their freshman will be around, though. So we'll see him against Notre Dame. All right, that is going to do it for this week's Blue and Gold Staff Roundtable. If you're just joining us, rewind, watch from the beginning, and hit the thumbs up. Of course, everyone really helps what we're doing here at Blue and Gold. I know I say hit the thumbs up all the time, but it really does help us. So please take a moment and do that. If you're logged into a YouTube or Gmail account, whatever you're logged in with on YouTube, just go ahead and hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content. And Blue and Gold is your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. Look on the site right there. I got a couple Keemon Spell articles, AP poll update. I interviewed a top Notre Dame target, and then PFF grades, snap counts. I'm so much on the site with 6 full-time writers we have at Blue and Gold. So make blueandgold.com your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. And as always, folks, we will catch you next time.